Good morning and welcome. My name is James Alguire. I'm an Apple certified trainer and instructor, and I have been doing training for nearly 20 years, and I have been working with computers for over 30, all the way back to the 70s. So I've been around doing this for a while, and today I will be your tour guide on the wonderful, wild, wacky new things that are part of macOS Big Sur. Let me fix my slide presentation here. All right. Well, let me see. One thing I want to do real quick before we get started. I'm going to put up a document in the chat. This will be for an evaluation of this class after. Oh, I think I got to change that information. Let me do that right now then. Give me a second here. I apologize. Stop sharing my screen for a second. I start to change the date on this. All right, now go ahead and upload that. All right, so you can download that. That contains the information regarding performing the evaluation. It gives you the information about the location, the date, and the instructor, who is myself. All right, so there will not be very many slides. Just a one, again, we're going to talk about what's new in macOS 12 Monterey. We'll go through a number of the new features. I'll even tell you and show you where you can find more detailed information about the new features. And if there are any questions at the end, we'll have some questions. So before we get going, I'd like you all to introduce yourselves to me and to each other. So basically just state your name, the organization you're with, your role in the organization, your geographic location, and one thing you'd like to learn from this webinar. And oops, hold on. My slideshow's freaking out. Give me a second. There we go. We'll just do it this way. I need to see participants in the chat. There we go. All right. So go ahead. We'll start with Clifford. Can everybody hear me? Well, Arturo has no microphone. Jose.
Yeah, hi, my name is Jose Villanueva. I'm with the County of San Diego. We have a government access channel, and I'm a video producer here, but I also tend to take on the role of managing our editing systems, which are all iMac Pro. So I thought I'd just jump in because we just upgraded to Monterey.
Excellent. Hopefully not in the middle of a project.
Kind of. So I'm multitasking right now while I listen to you.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, that's the best time to upgrade, is right in the middle of a project. All right. I guess we'll try again for Clifford. You can unmute and say hello or type in the chat. Or not. And Artur, again, if you not have your microphone, you can just type something into the chat. There we go.
What size?
Nope, go ahead. We can hear you. All right. Seems we're still having some technical difficulties there. Clifford's back. Go ahead, Clifford.
Hear me? Press it. Hello, hello,
Hello. We can hear you.
hello.
We can hear you. Go
No, you
ahead.
still can't. You can't. You can hear me.
I can.
Yes. Okay,
Yes.
very good. This is Clifford Oliver from Clifford Oliver Photography. It's a sole proprietorship. Even though I do hire occasionally on specific jobs. Located in Greenwich, New York. Not Greenwich, but it's spelled like Greenwich, but it's Greenwich. Just between Saratoga Springs, New York, and Manchester, Vermont. There is no one thing I'd like to learn from this webinar. I want to learn everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm really, you can tell by my audio problems. I just don't know computers as well as I'd like to.
I'll tell you what, Clifford, I've been in the business for over 30 years and I still don't know everything there is to know about computers. Trust me. All right. All right. So let's go ahead. So really quick, we'll talk about the basics for installing Monterey, and then we will go into actual demonstrations of a number of different things. We're not going to show you everything that's possible, obviously, in Monterey. We do have a class coming up June 1st, I believe. Let me check my calendar here. Yeah, June 1st to the 3rd is a 3-day support essentials class for Monterey, which goes into a lot more detail about everything that's going on in Monterey. So that's coming up, and definitely if you're interested in learning more, or if you're in a support position where you need to learn more, this would be an excellent class for you to check out. All right, so in order to install Monterey on your computers, if you've not already upgraded, you need to have a compatible Mac. So on the right-hand side here, we have a list of all of the Macs currently compatible with Monterey. They include any MacBook from 2015 or later, MacBook Air from 2015, and MacBook Pro from 2015. And also the iMac, all those from 2015. The Mac Mini, any one of them from 2014 or later, the iMac Pro from 2017 or later, and any Mac Pro Tower, whether it's the small black cylinder or the large, what they call the cheese grater, those will all work going back to that point in time. Also, you should note that Apple has 2 hardware platforms currently. The Intel platform was the previous platform, and there are still a number of Mac models available as Intel. And they've pretty much transitioned almost every Mac over except for the Mac Pro Tower, which hopefully or anticipatedly it will be moved over this year to Apple Silicon. But everything else, all the laptops, the iMac, the Mac Minis, and the new Mac Studio, which is not on here, but also if you have a Mac Studio, that will be Monterey compatible. Those all now are Apple Silicon. All right. So besides having the correct Mac, you also need to have the right version of macOS. You should be running macOS 10.9 or later. And most likely, if you've got a current Mac, you are running something closer to Big Sur or Mojave. You need a minimum of 4 gigs of memory Although I will caution you that 8 gigs really is the functional minimum. And it's getting to be more and more that you want 16 or higher in most cases. But 4 gigs is the minimum just to install it. Also for storage, you have to have enough free space on your hard drive to download the installer, which is a little over 12 gigabytes. And you need another 26 gigs of free space in order to actually perform the installation. If you have macOS Sierra or later installed, if you're running El Capitan or earlier, that's macOS 10, 11 or earlier, then you need 44.5 gigs. I will tell you, if you have less than 26 gigabytes free on your hard drive, you've got bigger problems than trying to upgrade your system. Most likely you're suffering from significant performance issues. In most cases, all computer personnel recommend leaving 10 to 20% of your hard drive's total capacity free, typically for the system to use for things like cache files, temporary files, and virtual memory. Some of the features of Monterey require an Apple ID, which means that in order to download it, you have to sign into the App Store and grab it from there. So if I go to the Apple menu and go down to the App Store, to download it, I would do a search here for Monterey. Probably better do macOS Monterey. There we go. And then click View, and then click Get. That will open up the system preferences, and we'll go to the software update preference, and we'll ask you to download. I already have it downloaded, so I'm not going to do that. But that would be the option for most people to install. Now, macOS Monterey ships pre-installed on every Mac that you purchased after November of 2021. All right. Also, many of the features of Monterey, like many other operating systems, do require an internet service provider, so that you've got internet access. In addition, some of the new features, the newer features of Monterey, will require a higher level Mac. And I'll sort of show you that a little bit later on. But some of the older Mac models won't support some of the newer capabilities and features. And I've experienced that firsthand. All right, so let's hide that. So we're going to talk about some of the new features. One of the new features is something called Quick Note. Now, with Quick Note, you can quickly add notes to the Notes app. In fact, to launch Quick Note, if I just want to pop up and create a quick note, I simply move my mouse cursor down to the lower right corner, and you'll see that little thing pop up. If I click on that, this will bring up an option about a quick note, and you can plug in information into your quick note here. And then I can close that. And then if I actually launch the Notes app here, I've got a whole section just on quick notes, and this will display all of my quick note information. And we're going to show you another couple of things about notes in a moment. Now, what if I'm in a web browser? So I can be in, go ahead and go to Safari here. And let me go to Wikipedia. Let me just go to Wikipedia. And let's do a search for mollusks. Maybe I'm doing a paper on mollusks. And so here I could just grab a bit of text about the mollusks that I find interesting, copy that. I can bring up my quick note and just paste that into my quick note, just like that. And then from there, I can access it in my notes. I could transfer it to any other note. I could transfer it to a document. So this way I can quickly go through, grab little bits and pieces of things I'm researching, pop them in a quick note, and then use that quick note to then add more data later on, or move that data to other documents like my report or whatever I'm working with. So quick notes is a great way to quickly jot down information, copy and paste things that you want to grab. If you don't want to go ahead and bring up a full-on document or go ahead and bring up all new notes. Now we've also got some new features in the Notes app. In the Notes app now I can add tags. I've got this. So anytime you add a hashtag and then the word, a keyword, that adds that tag to that note. So I can just add another keyword here, hashtag, test, and then say hashtag webinar. I'm going to add a couple more notes. And I'm just going to pop this down, put my tags up at the top. You can put the tags anywhere, really. The tags are just a way for you to, so I can click existing tags. Just hit the hashtag. It'll ask me to grab these different options here. And so you can organize your tags quickly and easily and view just those tags down here under the tags entry here in the sidebar, which is available now. I can click on macOS and that will display all of the notes I have in the Notes app that are flagged with that tag. So it's a great way if you've created several notes, you're organizing information about a specific topic that you want to work with, or doing some research. It's a great way to organize related information inside the Notes app. So it doesn't matter if you're just creating a bunch of different notes in different categories or anything. Everything that you apply a tag to is then searchable by clicking on these different keywords here. And I can do different types of sorting. If I've got multiple keywords, I can do searches on multiple keywords. Maybe I'm just looking for anything that has test in it. Maybe just macOS, maybe just trivia. Maybe trivia and webinar, or maybe just webinar. So again, you can see this has a lot of value to be able to allow you to go through the process of organizing information, even within the Notes app, to make it a lot easier to access information that you want to work with. Now, another really cool feature we have is something called live text. And live text allows you to capture the text from an image. So if I just go, let's just go to images of signs. All right, so here's a text here. So I could click on this. And in theory, the system would be able to detect the information in this image and then allow me to copy and paste it. So there I'm just selecting, I'm just clicking and dragging to select that text. I'm going to copy that. I'll just pop that into a quick note here. So it had a little bit of a problem doing it because I think of the angle and the word, but this makes it a lot easier to pull text out of images for specific purposes. Let me close that. Let's try something else. Okay, let's try this one. There we go. This is just automatic. I'm not doing anything other than like clicking and dragging. Copy that. And again, go to my quick notes, go to the bottom of my quick note and add that. So this can make it easier to get things like addresses or phone numbers from cards if you want to scan them. And it's possible to do this right from text on your camera. So let me see here. I got to bring up something I can view text, view in a camera. Let me bring up QuickTime Player. Let me bring up the Photos app. Let's see, camera. Where's the photo booth app here? So I'm going to hold up this image here. And in theory, it would be able to pull this text, even if it's just from this, and pull that, or I can just take a picture of it. And that again, I don't think it's working with this photo booth app, but anywhere you can use a camera to view information, it's the same thing. You can hold up you can hold up the item, and it'll view it, and it'll be able to allow you to copy and paste the text. And it will do, to a certain degree, it'll also allow you to do things like translation. So there's a lot of really cool things you can do with live text. Like I said, you can pull text out of any image that you can view. You can use your camera on your Mac to view stuff. It's like a cheap way of scanning data into your Mac, in a sense. All right. Another kind of fun thing. Let me hide this. Bring up the Maps app. Now, the Maps app, they've added a number of things. They've added some new experiences to the Maps app. So if you go to certain cities, you can get a lot more information. So let's say if I go to New York, they've got guides, and they've had these for a while, but they've added some additional information to the guides to improve your experience, so you can locate places you want to go, things you want to see. But they've done something even more interesting. They've got a new interactive globe. If you remember any old movie where they had the large globe in the guy's office, and they'd spin the globe and tap their finger on it to do something, that's where we're going to go next. You actually have that same function here in the Maps app. So if I zoom completely out, I now have this globe, and I can just spin it and go anywhere in the world and then zoom in, basically. So you can go to anywhere that you want and sort of zoom in on that location. And it gives you more information about wherever you're looking at. And you can use your mouse controls or scroll wheel or whatever to zoom in and out. But this new interactive map feature is kind of a cool thing, where you can just see the entire globe, in a sense, and just spin around and look and quickly see where things are anywhere in the world. And they've added a few more cities now where you can view things in 3D space. You can actually zoom around and fly through like you're in a 3D environment, basically. Now, this is just one of the cool new features of the Maps app. This is something that was added in Monterey. Look at that. Another feature that they have they've plugged into Monterey, that's a really nice feature, is shortcuts. Now, shortcuts has been a part of iOS for a couple of versions now. Shortcuts are a way to create sort of one-click options for performing a specific range of tasks. If you are familiar with AppleScript or Apple's Automator, this is like the next evolution of that. AppleScript was a way to write code that would automate tasks on your Mac and perform a series of functions, one after the other, without you having to do that, like copy a number of files or open up a specific number of documents or perform a certain maintenance function. Automator took you to the next step. Let me just see if I can, there we go. Automator would actually allow you to create these different tasks that you could perform and run, not by scripting, by typing out code, but by visually going through and plugging and playing things. Like, let's just choose this workflow. Let's say I wanted to add a calendar event with a certain items. I could say, or create a new calendar event here. So I can just drag that over. And so I can give it a name and specify an alarm and all this time. And so I could do this, and just whenever I wanted to create a new event anywhere after I saved this, then I could just, again, save this option here. So I can run it, I can step through it, you can record steps. I can actually record actions that I was performing on screen to do that. And so once I saved this, I can then just double click on this. If I saved it as an app, I can simply double click on it and that would launch and perform that task. So rather than scripting, this provided a visual way of programming in a sense. Shortcuts, we'll get rid of that. Shortcuts takes it to the next step. Shortcuts, again, allows you to create one clickable things or double clickable things that allow you to perform specific functions and tasks. Now you do get a few that are pre-installed here, like I've got, well, this is one I created last class, pages document. This is like, where was this taken? So I could select a photo. If I double click on this, that shows you all the steps in that particular item. And so I could actually like grab a photo and just drag it in here. Let me open up my Photos app. Let me see if this, I can get this to work. Yeah, all right, it's not gonna work. Let me just grab that to the desktop here. Oops. So again, with any of these are all the shortcuts. I mean, I could open this, I could run it, I can rename it, I can duplicate it, I can add it to the dock. If I want that to function, I can just drag this then onto the icon on the dock. Where was this taken? And it tells me, hey, this photo does not have any location information. Now I could add that in the Photos app. But if I had a bunch of photos that I wanted to know where they were taken, that would be something that I could then perform. Let me hook up my phone. I'll download an app, or I'll download a different photo that would have some location data. Let me go to Photos. And my iPhone. And I have to unlock it. Trust. All right, so let me grab a photo here. Something generic. Oh, here we go. Whoops. So I got a nice cloud photo here. I'm just going to import that. There we go. I'll just drag that to my desktop now to export it. I'll quit Photos. So now I'm going to just drag this down to the shortcut. When was this taken? No location data. That's odd. Take it with my phone. It should have location data on it. All right. But that, I mean, gives you the idea. So that shortcut is checking to see if there's any location applied to the image. So these shortcuts, and you can actually find other shortcuts. They got a whole shortcut gallery of online that you can, so you can access shortcuts. So you've got an option here to turn text into audio. I could add that to my list of items. I could say stop distractions, say how many days until a certain time. Down to, let's see, 6/1/2022. That's the next class. That's oops. Add that shortcut. So that'll add that to my shortcuts and it'll check for the days on that. So there's all kinds of shortcuts you can search for different tasks and different elements. Writer's Toolbox, attach a note, translate text. So that would be a good one. So now if I go to all my shortcuts, I've got the translate text shortcut. I got the how many days shortcut. I can actually run that. 20 days, 1 hour and 25 minutes. So I can run those shortcuts from here. I can add them to my dock. I can store them in other places. Now I can also create new shortcuts. So here, again, I can look at all my actions. So again, I can create it just like earlier when I showed you that creating a automated workflow to create a calendar event. I can do that. I can just add a new calendar event and just drag that right in here, add a title, new class, one, show more. I can show that location, put out which calendar I want to put it on, whether it's an all-day class. I can choose to create an alert. And so on. So now I've got this new event here. I can share it and send it to other people. I can play it, and it actually would create that new event and allow me to add it or not. I could save that to my docs. Anytime I want to create a new event along those lines, I can pop it in there. So shortcuts are a way to help you create little one-clickable actions that can perform a variety of different tasks or steps. Now you can include scripting in them if you're a little bit more advanced. There are some scripting options that you can add or create your own. You've got different categories, like for the web. So get an article using Safari Reader, get the details of an article, get a summary. There's lots of different things you can do with your different shortcuts. So shortcuts, and you can share shortcuts between devices. So you can create shortcuts on your Mac and move to iOS and reverse. Keep in mind that if you've got device specific settings, that those shortcuts may not behave the same way on your Mac as they do on your phone or your tablet. So shortcuts is just another sort of efficiency tool to help you quickly perform various functions much more quickly and efficiently. All right. So another new feature we have for the Mac is something called AirPlay to the Mac. Now, if you're familiar with AirPlay at all, you know that you can project the screen of your Mac or your phone or your tablet to any Apple TV, basically. And if I go up here to the control center here, on my display options, I could select different displays. So I can link that. Right now, this mouse is linked to iPad mini 15. But I could mirror my display, screen mirroring here, to any of these other devices. And here's my Apple TV. I could mirror my display to that and watch whatever's on my computer screen on my Apple TV. Now, in order to do that, if I wanted to say show my phone or my tablet on my computer, I had to use a third-party program, and there were several. One of the ones that I owned is a program called Reflector. And what Reflector would do would be to, again, turn your Mac into an AirPlay receiver. So now, rather than instead of doing that, I'm going to bring up I've got my iPad here. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the mirroring, and I'm going to select my Mac Mini here. There it is. And so here is my iPad now on display on my computer. Right now, I'm just looking at a text document. This is the book for the Monterey class, but I could do anything and display anything. I even change the orientation. And I could open up another application, say like the Maps app here, but I can do anything on my iPad and have it displayed on my computer. So I could do a quick demo of anything from an iPad to any other device. And then once I'm done, again, I can turn this off, stop mirroring, and I get back to my regular display. Now, that being said, you can also use your tablet like this as a third or second or third display. We have other options for that. Something else that we have is something called universal control. And universal control allows you to drag the mouse from to the edge of the screen to any local device. So for example, if I wanted to try to control, say, my iPad here, let me see if it'll do it. I have a feeling it's going to go to a different computer, but it should recognize. Oh, there we go. There now it's on my iPad. So I'm gonna mirror my iPad display again to my Mac Mini. So here, this is my mouse. This is not, I'm hands free. I don't have an iPad in either hand. I'm using a mouse. So this is the mouse on my iPad. Let me get out of this here. All right. So now if I wanted to say launch an app, let's see. Yeah, go to the Files app. I should be able to just click on the app, on the elements here and perform basic functions. I can even use a keyboard. Let me go ahead and bring up the Pages app. I don't know why the keyboard's not working. The mouse is here. The keyboard's not working. I'm not sure. Maybe I've not something fully configured. But in any case, I would be able to type in items using my keyboard that's connected to my computer, run my mouse. And so universal control allows me to control up to 3 different devices using the same mouse and keyboard in a sense. All right, so let me get out of this. Stop mirroring that. I'm gonna get my mouse back here. There we go. So universal control, again, another new feature of the Mac operating system, allows you to easily control nearby devices. Now, there are some caveats. First, the devices have to be signed in using the same Apple ID. They have to be on the same Wi-Fi network in a lot of different cases. And to enable this, you have to go to System Preferences, and you have to go to the Display Preference, and you've got this whole option here for universal control. So you can click Universal Control, and you have to say, allow your cursor and keyboard to move between any nearby Mac or iPad. Push the edge of the display to connect to a nearby mouse or iPad. You can have it automatically reconnect to any nearby Mac or iPad you've managed with universal control. So this is something you could do. Again, if you wanted to enter text on your iPad and use the keyboard, you don't have to if it's a Bluetooth keyboard, you don't have to reconnect it, disconnect it from your Mac and reconnect it to your iPad. You can simply push your mouse over so that your iPad is now under the control of the keyboard and mouse of that particular Mac or device. So again, another cool new feature of the Mac operating system is this ability to control, as I said, up to 3 different devices. They have to be really close with each other. You have to enable this feature on all your devices. You've got to be signed in with your Apple ID, same Apple ID in all the devices, and so on to make that work. But that's all part of this whole element there. Another feature, we have a feature called Shared With You, meaning that you can share text and images and other things with yourself or your devices. Hold on, I'm going to see about sending a couple of pictures over. So let me select this and I'm just going to text these pictures from my, I've got a different phone here with a different Apple ID assigned to it. So I've got 4 photos on here that I want to, I'm just going to run them through the text. I'm going to use the Messages app, and I'm going to send them to my regular, let me send them to my phone here, 858. And let's add, I'll just add a little text message to this. And here are some images. And we will just send those images. So now if I go to the Messages app here, I've got a new message that shows you there's a new shared with you feature. Click OK. Okay. So there's the images. There's several images. And I can download them if I want. I can actually view them as a grid here. But in the future, anywhere that I have these items, I can look at the shared with you option. So let me go to, say, photos to the photo library. Let me go ahead and launch photos. And here's a, where's the shared with you option? There should be a new shared with you function. So normally anywhere you have these options, there'll be a separate item here with for shared with you on the sidebar. And you're going to click on that and that will display that. Yes, there will be a recording. We're recording this now and the recording will be available later, I believe, in probably sometime next week. It takes them a couple of days to edit it, and then they will put out a link which you can watch online. Let me quit and relaunch the Messages app here. Well, let me check my phone. But this works again with music, with photos, with other elements. Typically, any app that would display information like this would have a shared with you section. I'm not sure why it's not showing up here. Maybe I don't have enough people or options, but using the photos, there should be a shared with you option on here that just shows you the items that have been shared with you. Now there's the images that I texted over. And I'm not sure why this is not being displayed properly, but again, usually there's a section, same thing with podcasts. There'll be a share. If someone shares a podcast with you, there'll be a shared with you section here. In the music app, same thing. Pretty much a lot of the built-in Apple apps, they'll have a shared with you feature or function. Let's see if Pages supports this. Yeah, no, not quite in the way I thought. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not showing up, but it did in the previous one. But just note that there will be apps and they'll have a shared with you element in the sidebar, and clicking on that will display the content of whatever other was shared with you. All right. One last sort of thing to talk about and to demonstrate is something called FaceTime SharePlay. With FaceTime SharePlay, this is another way that you can share content on your device with other users. And the beauty of this is you can do it, you're doing it through FaceTime. So anywhere you can invoke FaceTime or bring up FaceTime, you can perform this function. Let me go ahead and I'm going to launch FaceTime on my Mac here. And I'm going to go ahead and go on FaceTime on my device. And I'm going to connect to my device here. It'll take a moment. I gotta get to, it's got to show up on the right device. Where are you? Oops, where are you? Oh, come on. I'll stop that. me go the other way. There we go. All right. So here I am talking to myself, and on my phone there is a button that you can't really see, but it's a SharePlay button, and I'm going to tap on that SharePlay button and say share my screen. And so now that'll share the screen of my device. You can see I no longer have the FaceTime thing going. I get a separate window, which is going to display anything on my screen. So here's my phone screen. So now if I want to say view an application, I can tap on that app. Whoops. Let me move this out of the way here. So here's this weather app. Check for the weather. Continue. So now we can see the weather here in San Diego. It's a balmy 69 degrees. But you could do anything. I could, if I had videos, I could play videos on here. And that's another thing with SharePlay. You can actually have multiple people, because FaceTime will do up to 32 people in a video chat. You could have a movie night where they're all sharing the same movie. Now you all have to have access to this movie in your account, but I could say watch a podcast. I bring up my podcast options here. And if I've got a video podcast, I could view that. Well, here's let's say latest episode. And so I could run this podcast with so it's now playing. I don't know if you can hear it, but it is playing through my speakers. And so whether it's a video or audio, you can share this with multiple people at the same time. And you'd be commenting on it like people do sometimes in the movies about how bad a movie is. If you've seen, was it something 3000, where the robots are talking about the bad sci-fi films, Mystery Science Theater 3000. They talk about that. You could be doing the same thing all on the same element. And once you're done, I can simply end this whole thing, go back to FaceTime, turn this off so I'm not sharing my screen any longer, and go back to just having a normal FaceTime event. Oops. All right, let me get back to this. There we go. Stop the podcast. All right, so I'm going to end this call. There we go. So with FaceTime share, there we go. So with FaceTime SharePlay, you can share the screen of any device that you are FaceTiming from. So if you want to show somebody some slides or a document or whatever you want to share with them, you can do that. And again, you have the ability with FaceTime now to connect to multiple people, up to 32. And you could actually watch a movie at the same time, or view a presentation and make comments and these things. So it's kind of like, in a sense, you could have a virtual office session talking about a presentation or providing a presentation. If everybody was not able to get together. This, of course, would have been a highlight of our whole COVID experience, having all of these different features. FaceTime also now allows you to FaceTime video chat with Windows and Android users, fully secure, fully encrypted. What you have to do is create a link to your FaceTime session and send that to your Android or Windows users, and they can use that link to then join the conversation. So Apple's improved FaceTime. They've made it a little bit more cross-platform compatible. They added a lot of new features. So these are the things really I wanted to demonstrate for you. Let me do a couple of things here. First, to find out more about the new features of, and in more detail, I should say, if you go to Apple's website, if you go to the Mac section, and if you go to the Monterey option here, you can get a quick overview of the new features, little animations, and talks about all the different things that some of which we've talked about. You schedule and share FaceTime calls with unique link. We also have all of the new features here. If you want to see everything that's going on, it's all right there in one go. It goes into a lot more detail into that as well. And if you want to learn more about the Mac operating system, if you're in a support position, we have a class coming up on June 1st. It's a 3-day class. We go into a lot more detail on installing, configuring, troubleshooting, and maintaining the Mac operating system. So just a couple of things. I'm gonna have to re-upload this because some people were not here. But here I'll upload the class evaluation information. So definitely please fill that out before you go. That document just has my name as the instructor, the location, which is online, the date of the webinar, and the name of the webinar for the evaluation. Everything else you plug in on your own. And before we have couple of things to show you, but before we go any further, after everything I've shown you so far today, is there anything about the new features of macOS Monterey that you still have questions about? If there's something I've shown you you'd like to see again, is there something you're hoping to see that you did not see? I'm more than happy to answer any question you might have or just demonstrate any other thing before we conclude our broadcast day. Okay. I'm not hearing a lot of things, so I'm guessing everybody's pretty happy with what's going on. So in conclusion, let me go back to our slides here. Thank you for attending our presentation on the new features of macOS Monterey. I'm hoping that you're walking out learning having learned just a little bit more about what Monterey can do for you. And we look at helping you in the future learn more about what's going on with Monterey. As attendees to this presentation, you are now essentially alumni of the FMC training program. And as such, after you complete the evaluation, shortly you should receive an email with some perks. Among them typically are discounts to future classes, which are usually good for about 6 months. So you can check that out. To find out more about the classes that we offer, right, that FMC offers, I should say, you can go to fmctraining.com/browse-courses. You can also find FMC on all of your most of your most common social media platforms. They include Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. In addition, we have support of technology partners. So we have support of companies like Dell Technologies. Dell provides discounts to some of their product for alumni of FMC training. You can find out more about our partnership by going to www.dell.com/FMC training. In addition, we have a video that goes into some of the detail of this partnership. If you go to vimeo.com/ and then 418-046-352. We also have partnerships with another company called Ceramonic. Ceramonic is a provider of essentially streaming tools. So if you want to do a podcast or online class or a live stream event, Ceramonic provides the stands, the backgrounds, the microphones, the headsets, everything that you need in order to create an online presence and perform online activities like streaming, podcasting, classrooms, and so on. And again, you can find out more about Ceramonic by going to www.ceramonicusa.com And as an alumni of FMC training, there is a 20% discount that you can get on some of their professional kits if you go to VIP support 20, or use the code, I should say, VIP support 20 when checking out. All right. So thanks once again for attending our presentation. Is there anything else that I could add to this? Any question I can answer? Anything I can show you before we conclude? If not, then I thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for attending. I look forward to seeing you in a future training if you so desire. Otherwise, that concludes our broadcast day. We thank you again for attending, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week.